Good afternoon, dear children. Let us continue the lesson laws of motion. Last class we have discussed about friction. Isn't it? Different types of friction, that is static friction, limiting friction, then kinetic friction, rolling friction, and sliding friction. Isn't it? Also we have learned the laws of limiting friction and kinetic friction. Have you studied? Okay, well. Then today's class we are going to discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of friction. Okay, what are the advantages and disadvantages of friction? Let's see the advantages of friction or the uses of friction. Listen to it. We already learned in smaller classes the advantages of friction, you know. Okay, the first is activities due to the friction between the ground and feet we are able to walk. Okay, so we cannot walk without friction. Listen it. It is due to the friction between ground and feet we are able to walk. Okay. The next, the brakes of vehicle cannot work without friction. The brakes of vehicle cannot work without friction. And the various parts of machines are able to rotate because of the friction between the belt and pulley. Okay. The various parts of machine are able to rotate because of friction between the belt and pulley. And the tires of vehicle are made to rough to increase friction. You know that threaded tires. Okay, the tires of vehicle are made to rough to increase friction. Also, we cannot hold things without friction. Without friction, we cannot hold anything, or we cannot write in paper or in board without friction. Okay, these are the important advantages of or important uses of friction. Listen it. It is due to the friction between the ground and feet we are able to walk. Then the brakes of vehicle cannot work without friction. Then the various parts of machines are able to rotate because of friction between the belt and pulley. Then the tires of vehicle are made to rough to increase friction. These are the advantages of friction. Next about the disadvantages of friction. Okay, what are the disadvantages of friction? First, you know, wear and tear of machinery is due to the friction. Okay, that is the due to friction. Actually, the wear and tear of machinery parts occurs due to friction. Wear and tear of the machinery is due to friction. And a large amount of power is actually wasted in overcoming friction. Okay, that is in order to overcome friction, a large amount of power that is wasted. And due to this, the efficiency of the machine decreases. Isn't it? In order to overcome friction, a large amount of power is actually wasted. Due to this, the efficiency of the machine decreases. And also, the excessive friction between the rotating parts of machine that produces heat. You know, due to friction, heat is generated. Okay, and it causes damage to machinery. Okay. Excessive friction between the rotating parts of machine produces heat and causes damage to machinery. Okay, these are actually the disadvantages. The first is wear and tear of the machinery is due to friction, and also a large amount of power is wasted in overcoming friction, and the efficiency of the machines decreases. The next, excessive friction between the rotating parts of a machine produces enough heat and causes damage to machinery. And also, you know, air resistance that decreases the speed of vehicles. Okay, due to air resistance, the speed of vehicle decreases. These are the advantages of friction. Okay, here the friction has both advantages and disadvantages. So we can say the friction is a necessary evil. Okay, because the friction has both advantages and disadvantages. So we can say the friction is a necessary evil. Okay. Then next is the methods of reducing friction. How we can reduce friction? The first is by polishing. By the method of polishing, we can reduce friction. That is the depression between the surfaces in contact get minimized by polishing the surfaces. Okay, by polishing the surfaces, actually the depression between the surfaces in contact get minimized. That is by polishing. And the second method is lubrication. The second method of reduced friction is actually lubrication. Okay, that is when the gap between the surfaces in contact is filled with oil or grease, the irregularities become filled with this and the friction get considerably decreases. Okay, when the gap between the surfaces is filled with oil or grease, okay, then the irregularities that filled with this and the friction reduces, and this process is actually called lubrication, and the substances which are used to reduce friction, they are called lubricants. Okay, lubricants are the substances which are used to reduce friction. For example, oil and grease are actually lubricants. Isn't it? That is, when the gap between the surfaces is filled with the oil or grease, the irregularities are filled with this and the friction considerably decreases, and this process is actually called lubrication, and the substances that are used to reduce friction are called lubricants. For example, oil and grease are actually lubricants. Okay, the next is streamlining. The next method for reducing friction is actually streamlining. Okay, that is, the friction due to air is considerably reduces by streamlining the shapes of the body. You noted the shape of ships, then boat and aeroplane. The edges are actually sharp. That is, in order to reduce friction due to air. Okay, also in the case of ships and boat, the resistance offered by water. Then only if the edges, that is front is sharp only, it can smoothly go to overcome the friction. Okay, that is actually the streamlining. Okay, the friction due to air is considerably decreases by streamlining the shapes. Okay, that is actually sharp in front. Okay, so these are the methods for reducing friction, that is by polishing, the lubrication and streamlining. Okay. Next, about centripetal force. Centripetal force. Actually, you are familiar with the centripetal force. Okay, in previous chapter also we have learned about this centripetal force. You know what is centripetal force? The force required by an object to move along a circular path with uniform speed. That is actually called the centripetal force. Okay, the force required by an object to move along a circular path with uniform speed. That is called the centripetal force. That is, for any object to move in a circular path, a force is actually needed, and that force is called what? Centripetal force. Then what is the direction of this centripetal force actually? It always acts along the radius towards the center. Okay, the direction of centripetal force is always towards the center along the radius. Okay, the direction of centripetal force is always towards the center along the radius. Listen to it, that is actually the centripetal force. Next, we can obtain an expression for centripetal force. For that, we are considering an object of mass m which moves along a circular path with the radius r with the uniform speed v. With the uniform speed v. You know, due to the change in direction, here actually uniform speed means the speed remains constant, but every point of its path, it changes its direction. Okay, so the velocity gets changed. You know, any change in velocity that produces an acceleration. So here the acceleration is produced on that object, and this acceleration is called the centripetal acceleration. This acceleration is called what? Centripetal acceleration. Listen to it. That is the acceleration produced on an object which is in for the uniform circular motion. This acceleration is called the centripetal acceleration. Listen to it. You know the expression for centripetal acceleration. We have already learned the expression for centripetal acceleration, that is A is equal to, either we can write V square by R or R omega square. Okay. This is the expression for centripetal acceleration, V square by R, or we can write R omega square. That is, centripetal acceleration can be written in terms of linear velocity, or we can written in terms of angular velocity. Here V represents the linear velocity and omega represents what? Angular velocity. So the centripetal acceleration is equal to V square by R or R omega square. Isn't it? Then you know, by Newton's second law, the force F is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, F is equal to m into a, mass into acceleration. So we can write m into, instead of a, we can write m v square by r. Or we can use this equation, so m r omega square. Okay, this is the expression for centripetal force. Either we can write mv square by r or mr omega square. Listen to it, mv square by r or mr omega square. Okay, then what is centripetal force? The force required by an object in uniform circular motion. Okay, that is any object in a uniform circular motion, it requires a force. That force is called the centripetal force. And this centripetal force acts always acts towards the center towards the center along the radius of the circular path. Isn't it? And here the speed remains constant, but due to the change in direction of motion and the velocity may changes, and this change in velocity produces an acceleration, and that acceleration is called the centripetal acceleration. And you know the expression for centripetal acceleration as A equal to v square by r or r omega square. Then by Newton's second law, we can write the force is the product of mass and acceleration. So m into, instead of acceleration, we can write v square by r. So we got mv square by r. And instead of a also we can write r omega square. So r mr omega square. This is the expression for centripetal force, mv square by r or mr omega square. Listen it. You know the examples of centripetal force actually. Suppose when a stone is rotated. Here actually when a stone is rotated using a string or a thread, actually the centripetal force is provided by the stone requires what? Centripetal force to revolve, okay, or move along the circular path. And this centripetal force is actually provided by the tension in the string or the tension produced in the thread. That provides the necessary centripetal force for the stone to revolve. Listen it. Also, you know the planets that rotates or move around the sun, where actually the planets got the centripetal force. It is provided by the gravitational force of attraction between the sun and the planets. They provide the necessary centripetal force for the planet. And also, you know, the electrons are revolving around the nucleus in circular orbits. Here the centripetal force for the electrons, that is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electrons. Okay, you know the electrons that moves around the nucleus in specified orbits or circular orbits. For them, the electrons need centripetal force, and this centripetal force is provided by the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electrons. Okay, and these are the examples of what? Centripetal force. Next we can see examples for circular motion. Examples for circular motion. First one is the motion of car on a circular level road. The motion of car on a circular level road. Okay, the motion of car on a circular level road. For that we are considering a car of mass m. Okay, consider a car mass m which moves on a circular level road or flat road with a radius r. With the radius r and okay, radius r. Then what are the forces, various forces acting on the car? Let's see what are the different forces acting on the car. You know, the weight of the car that acts vertically downward. So the first force is weight of the car, that is W is equal to mg. That you know, weight is m into g. Weight of the car that is acting vertically downward, and the normal reaction R. The normal reaction R that acts vertically upward, which is equal to the weight, you know. So R can be written as m into g. That is the second force. R is equal to mg. And the third is the centripetal force. Third is the centripetal force, that is mv square by r. Third is the centripetal force, mv square by r. And fourth is the frictional force. The frictional force, that you know, F is equal to mu into r. Okay, we already learned F is equal to mu r, where mu is the coefficient of friction, r is the normal reaction. Then instead of r, we can write mg. So F is equal to mu mg. Okay, here we are considering a car of mass m which moves on a circular level road of radius r. Okay, and actually here we are going to express or going to find the velocity for the safe turn of the car. That thing we are actually going to find. Okay, the maximum velocity with which the car can go smoothly on the circular level road or circular flat road, the safe velocity. That thing we have to find. Listen it. Here the various forces acting on the car, that is the weight of the car W, that is acts vertically downward, and the normal reaction R, that acts vertically upward. Then the centripetal force, and the centripetal force that that acts along the radius towards the center of the circular path, that is mv square by r. That is the frictional force between the tires of the car and the road. That is actually F is equal to mu r, that is equal to mu into mg. Listen it. And for safe turn, for the safe turn of the car, actually the centripetal force is less than or equal to the frictional force. Okay, for safe turn, the centripetal force mv square by r, that is less than or equal to mu mg. Then only the car can negotiate safely through this circular path. The centripetal force is less than or equal to the frictional force, that is mv square by r less than or equal to mu mg. This mm cancel. Then actually v square by r less than or equal to what? Mu g, or v square less than or equal to mu r g. Listen it. V square less than or equal to mu r g. We cross multiply this. Okay, mu r g, or from this v less than or equal to root mu r g. V less than or equal to root mu r g. That is, if the velocity must be less than or equal to root of mu r g. If the velocity exceeds square root of mu r g, the car will skid off the road. Okay, so for safe turn, the velocity of the car must be less than or equal to root of mu r g. If the velocity exceeds root mu r g, the car will skid off the road. Okay, here so we can write the maximum velocity V max equal to root of mu r g. That is, for safe turn, the maximum velocity required by the car, that is equal to root of mu r g. That is, here the velocity depends upon the coefficient of friction and the radius of the circular path. Okay, here the velocity depends on the coefficient of friction between the road and the tires, and also the radius of the circular path. Listen it. And here, if the velocity exceeds root mu r g, the car will skid off the road, because the maximum available friction is insufficient to provide the necessary centripetal force. Okay, here actually the frictional force is provided by the centripetal force for the car, that is provided by the frictional force. The centripetal force required by the car, that is actually provided by the centripetal force. If the velocity exceeds root mu r g, what will happen? The available friction, the maximum available friction is insufficient to provide the centripetal force, the necessary centripetal force, so that the car will skid off the road. Listen it. So, for a safe turn along a circular level road, the maximum velocity required by the car is actually V max equal to root of mu r g. V max equal to root mu r g. Here we are considering a car of mass m, and it moves along a circular flat or level road of radius r. Then what are the various forces acts on the car? That is the weight mg, then the normal reaction r, that is also mg, then the centripetal force mv square by r, and the frictional force mu r. Okay, then instead of r we can write mu mg. Listen it. And for safe turn, the centripetal force less than or equal to what, mu mg. Listen it. So also we can write v less than or equal to root mu rg. V less than or equal to root of mu rg, or the maximum velocity v max equal to square root of mu rg. If the velocity exceeds root mu rg, the car will skid off the road because the maximum available friction is insufficient to provide the necessary centripetal force. Okay, that is about the motion of car on a circular level road. The next, the motion of a car on a banked road. The motion of a car on a banked road. In order to avoid the skidding of vehicle in a curved road, on a curved road, the outer edge of the road, actually this is the outer edge. This outer edge of the road is raised above the inner edge. Okay, for a curved the road, inner edge and outer edge is there. In order to avoid skidding in a curved road, the outer edge should be raised than the inner edge. This is actually called banking of roads. Isn't it? This is called what? Banking of roads. In order to avoid skidding of vehicle at a curved road, the outer edge of the road should be raised above the inner edge. This is called what? Banking of roads. What do you mean by banking of roads? In order to avoid skidding of vehicle at a curved road, the outer edge of the road should be raised above the inner edge. Actually, this is called banking of roads. Listen it. The velocity of a vehicle actually, or the curvature. Previous derivation also we have learned the velocity of the vehicle at a curvature actually depends upon the coefficient of friction between the tires and the road. Listen it. And also the radius of the circular path. The velocity that mainly depends upon the friction between the tires and the road. Then as friction decrease, actually due to the smoothness, if there is any smoothness of the road, the friction decreases. That means the friction decreases due to the smoothness of the road and condition of the tire, etc. Okay, the friction decreases with respect to what? The smoothness of the road and also the condition of the tire. Then the maximum speed limit, speed for which safe turn also decreases. Okay, then as friction decreases, the maximum speed also decreases. So, but by raising the outer edge of the road, a parts of the normal reaction is actually provide the necessary centripetal force. Listen it. As friction decreases, what will happen? The maximum speed for the safe turn also decreases. Okay. The frictional force that depends upon mainly the velocity that depends mainly on the frictional force. That thing V max equal to root of mu rg. Isn't it? So the speed also decreases. As friction decreases, the speed also decreases. But by raising the outer edge of the road, actually, the weight of the car that is acting vertically downward, and also this normal reaction acting in this direction. Here the normal reaction is acting in this direction. So we can resolve this normal reaction as two components, that is r sin theta and r cos theta. This normal reaction can be resolved into two components, r sin theta and r cos theta. Listen it. And here this the horizontal component of normal reaction that provides the necessary centripetal force for the safe turn. Listen it. That is actually the advantage of banking the road. That is, by raising the outer edge of the road, a part of the normal reaction is also available for increasing the centripetal force. Listen it. And also the angle through which the outer edge that raised, that angle is actually called the angle of banking. What is meant by angle of banking? The angle which the surface of road makes with the horizontal. Or we can say the angle through which the outer edge that is raised than the inner edge. That angle is actually called the angle of banging. Okay. Okay, then what is actually banging of rod? The system of raising the outer edge of a curved rod than the inner edge. That is actually called the banging of rod. The system of raising the outer edge of a curved rod than the inner edge. That is actually called the banging of rod. And the angle through which the outer edge is raised than the inner edge. That is called the angle of banging. The angle through which the outer edge of the rod is raised than the inner edge. That angle is called actually angle of banging. Isn't it? Then what is the advantage of this banging of rod actually? Here actually when a curved rod is banged, the horizontal component of this normal reaction that provides the necessary centripetal force. Isn't it? For the safe turn of the car along this banged rod. And actually this reduces the wear and tear of the tires. Okay, actually it reduces the wear and tear of the tires. Then what are the different forces acting on the car? That thing you know, the weight of the car, mg, that is acting vertically downward, and this normal reaction is r, this normal reaction that acts in this direction. So we can resolve this normal reaction as on two components, you know. One is the this component r sine theta, and another is this component r cos theta. So we can resolve this horizontal component as r cos theta and r sine theta. Listen it. And this frictional force that acts in this direction. The frictional force acts in this along this inclined line. Okay, so we can resolve this frictional force again as two components, then F cos theta and F sin theta. Okay, the frictional force has two components, F cos theta and F sin theta. Listen to it. Next we can equate the horizontal and the vertical forces. We can equate the horizontal and the vertical forces. Okay, you know the horizontal forces. Actually, this R sin theta and F cos theta. That is the horizontal force. Listen to it. And also you know the centripetal force which acts along this along the radius towards this center. Okay, that is also the horizontal force. So we can write r sin theta plus f cos theta is equal to mv square by r. R sin theta plus f cos theta is equal to mv square by r. Then we can equate the vertical forces as here mg, that is acting vertically downward. So mg plus f sin theta. These two forces are acting downward. So we can sum these two forces mg plus f sin theta, which is equal to r cos theta that acts upward. So mg plus f cos theta equal to r sin theta. Sorry, r cos theta. Okay, mg plus f sin theta equal to r cos theta. Next we can here r cos theta and this f sin theta that goes RHS, it becomes minus f sin theta. So r cos theta minus f sin theta is equal to mg. R cos theta minus f sin theta equal to mg, that is equation number 2. Where you know frictional force F equal to mu r, that thing you know. From this F by r, that is equal to what? Mu r. F by r is equal to mu r. Okay, this equation number 1 and this equation number 2. Then we can divide 1 by 2. Equation 1 divided by equation 2. So r sin theta plus f cos theta divided by r cos theta minus f sin theta, that is equal to mv square by r by mg. mv square by r by mg and mm cancel, remaining v square by rg. v square divided by rg. Isn't it? The next we divide the LHS of the numerator and denominator of LHS by r cos theta. The numerator and denominator of this LHS by r cos theta. So here we have r sin theta. R sin theta by r cos theta. Okay, r sin theta divided by r cos theta. This r cancelled, then sin theta by cos theta, actually it is tan theta. So we got tan theta. Then f cos theta by r cos theta. F F cos theta divided by R cos theta. Cos theta cancel and F by R. Here F by R. Here R cos theta by R cos theta, that is 1. Then minus F sin theta by, again F sin theta by R cos theta. That is actually F by R. Sin theta by cos theta actually tan theta. So we got 1 minus F by R tan theta. 1 minus F by R tan theta. That is equal to B square by RG. Also B square by RG equal to, we can write tan theta plus F by R is actually mu. So instead of F by R we can write mu. So we got tan theta plus mu divided by 1 minus F by R is actually mu. So 1 minus mu tan theta. B square by RG equal to tan theta plus mu divided by 1 minus mu tan theta. From this B square equal to RG, cross multiply RG mu plus tan theta divided by 1 minus mu tan theta. From this B is equal to square root of RG mu plus tan theta by 1 minus mu tan theta. This is the SI velocity with which a vehicle can negotiate a banked road. Okay. Here we are considering a car of mass M which moves along a banked road, banked circular road of radius R at a banking angle of theta. Then what are the different forces acting here? The weight mg that acting vertically downwards. Then the normal reaction R which acts in this direction. And also the frictional force acts along this inclined line. Then also the centripetal force mv square by R. Here we can resolve this normal reaction as R cos theta and R sin theta. And here also the frictional force F as F sin theta and F cos theta. Next we can equate the horizontal and the vertical components. Okay, so here the horizontal components are actually here the R sin theta plus F cos theta, that is equal to mv square by R. That is the horizontal forces. Okay, then the vertical forces are mg plus F sin theta, that is equal to R cos theta. Then rearranging this equation, R cos theta minus F sin theta equal to mg. That is equation number 1, and this is equation this is 2 and this is 1. Then we can divide equation 1 by 2. So R sin theta plus F cos theta divided by R cos theta minus F sin theta equal to V square by RG. Then next we are divide the numerator and denominator of LHS by R cos theta. So R sin theta by R cos theta is actually tan theta plus F cos theta by R cos theta is actually F by R divided by R cos theta by R cos theta 1. Then F sin theta by R cos theta is F by R tan theta, that is equal to V square by RG. Or we can write V square by RG equal to tan theta plus F by R is actually mu. So tan theta plus mu divided by 1 minus mu tan theta. Or V square equal to RG into mu plus tan theta divided by 1 minus mu tan theta, or V is equal to square root of RG mu plus tan theta divided by 1 minus mu tan theta. This is the SI velocity with which a vehicle can negotiate a banked road. Listen to it. That is about the motion of car on a banked road. That is the end of today's class. Also we have finished that lesson. Problems are remaining that we can do a next class. Okay children, thank you.